Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Wright Flyer. As always, this is your captain, Randy Wright speaking, and I'd like to take this opportunity to personally thank you for flying over the friendly airwaves with us here at our state-of-the-art radio program at Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer. Well, folks, without any further ado, let's go ahead and delve into the topic for this program. Tim Pool has been targeted for swatting a second time. This happened to him once already a few weeks back, or not even a full few weeks back, but it seems that somebody's really after him because they've targeted him yet again. The first one happened on January 5th, or the day after January 5th, so basically January 6th, after he had Marjorie Taylor Greene on his show, and he is convinced that having Marjorie Taylor Greene on his show is what led to the swatting incident. Now, for those of you who don't know, swatting is essentially where someone calls in to the police in order to report a false claim that somebody is either hurting someone or some sort of criminal activity is afoot. And the designated purpose of it is to get either the officers killed or the targeted person killed, and to essentially harass them in multiple ways. As far as I'm concerned, it's a form of attempted murder. And there really needs to be some reform efforts put forward with respect to the exigent circumstances that are used, because that almost gives the police carte blanche as the way things stand now, whenever there is some sort of claim of exigent circumstances. Of course, if somebody is doing the line of work that Tim Pool is, it's important to let local law enforcement know who you are and have a form of emergency contact that they can utilize in order to contact you to see if you're all right, and to check before having this type of scenario or incident play out. I understand that the cops are basically walking a tightrope here. They have to protect the public, they have to protect the person who's at the center of it, but at the same time, it's hard to know when a call is real, and it's hard to know when it's a waste of time and when it is putting their own officers and personnel at risk, as well as the property holders that are essentially the target of these swatting incidents. So it really has created a dangerous area. And like with many things within the law is very slow to respond to these types of things, because the law is always slow to adapt to things. In a way that makes sense. We don't want the law to be hasty in developments, otherwise we could run into mob justice and vigilantism. But at the same time, with the emergence of new technology and the emergence of cancel culture and the way that people are just reacting to things and wanting to silence people to the nth degree, there really is a lot of danger with this, and there is a need for reform. But anyway, this story comes to us off of Louder with Crowder. Brodigan wrote this for him, and the title is "Tim Pool Gets Swatted for Second Time This Month. Catches Someone Trespassing on His Property Night Before." The midterm elections have barely started, and Tim Pool has already been swatted for the second time. The first time happened at the beginning of the month in the middle of Pool's live stream. And if I remember right, the guest at that time was the Officer Tatum. Last night, it doesn't appear they were streaming. Pool made the announcement via Twitter. And as you can see there, it says we got swatted again. Swatting is a dangerous prank where someone will call the police, as I stated earlier, say they killed a bunch of people and will kill a bunch of people more, and it gives the police the address of someone they don't like. It was popular during the Obama administration, and targets of swatting were frequently people who held a different political opinion than President Obama. It is unclear if Pool holding a different political opinion than Joe Biden is why he's become a target. Tim also has hosted other notorious different political opinion from Joe Biden havers, and I love Brodigan's language there. That's just fantastic. Like James O'Keefe and Mike Rowe in recent days. So what we can see here, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that this is an exceedingly dangerous practice. And that there also appears to be a motive of malice behind it. And I can say this because that has been the traditional pattern behind it. That has been the way it has been handled for many years. And the fact that this has happened in very rapid fashion in the same month really does make this suspicious. Indeed, there's another element to it that makes it suspicious as well, is that not that many people know where Tim Pool lives. He kind of lives out in a compound somewhere in West Virginia. And so it makes me wonder if it was somebody local or somebody on the inside. I don't know. At this point, any of that would be mere speculation, idle speculation. But what does matter here is that there is obviously someone targeting him. And when you're targeted like that, it really is someone going after you. It is someone targeting your life. The very fact that it's reported as a dangerous shooting situation and that there have been multiple homicides, it puts the police on edge. Of course, there also needs to be a way to vet it, to make sure that these calls are accurate and true. And that's where the delicate balance becomes all the more difficult, because it is next to impossible for the police to tell. Sure, they may have their suspicions, but they can't just, willy-nilly rest on their laurels on that. If somebody just tells them, you can't enter here because you've got a do not trespass sign, that's not going to cut it. Because if there really is some truth to it, and the police just go away because somebody on the premises said, we're doing a film here, and therefore just go away, or come back with a warrant, that could put them up for legal jeopardy. And so it's a very delicate type of situation. But Crowder's site goes on. Pool hasn't gone into more details as of yet. There is a chance the second swatting didn't get the full police response after the first swatting proved to be a hoax, although the night before, Pool caught someone trespassing on his property, and the person even made it inside his home. Now this is... that's something you can't take lightly either. Again, part of the problem here is that Tim Pool has all sorts of staff living on the property with him. There is an inordinate amount of foot traffic in and out of the building, so this makes it difficult for staff and security personnel to keep track of things. According to the quartering, there's no gate at the premises, and the quartering has been there before. And so it makes it difficult. With so many people there and without an adequate system of keeping track of it, it means that somebody who has ill intentions could cause problems. And when you put yourself out into the public limelight, you do take a heightened responsibility for ensuring that you yourself are okay, and that those that are in your stead and in your care are also protected. And so there's no real easy way to handle this. There's no real easy answer to it or satisfactory answer to it. but there has to be certain levels of precaution that are taken. This from the January 18th, 2022 tweet from Tim Pool states, "Last night, a man trespassed on our property, bypassing a large warning sign, and then entered our house. He entered just after our guests came in, confusing our staff. Anyone entering this way risks serious bodily harm from our dogs and security. He was promptly removed." It's good that he was promptly removed. And yes, there is good to be had with guard dogs and whatnot. And I know that Tim Pool also has firearms on the premises. And so it is grossly stupid for people to be doing that. But it goes to show that there are people that are ready, willing, and able to push the limits and to push the extents in order to get what they think is a scoop. At the same time, this coinciding with all of the other things, there's a lot of coincidence here. And I, for one, do not have the luxury in just believing coincidence willy-nilly. Somebody is targeting him. And I do have a feeling that there is probably a political motive behind all of it. Well, I mean, why else would these people be doing this? That's the type of question that needs to be asked, and there needs to be answers. If these tactics are the tactics of leftists this early, all of us different political opinion from Joe Biden havers, God, thank you again, Brodigan, need to be careful. The person or persons swatting Pool may not even be full-blown leftist as much as inspired by them. Leftists in the media have spent the past year lying that if you disagree with Joe Biden, you're an insurrectionist. They lie that you want to take away people's rights to vote. They lie that you're anti-science and are to blame for the pandemic. And they lie that you are a racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobe if you who express an opposing viewpoint from them about anything ever essentially exists. As more polls show how much the American people dislike Biden and are turning against the left's agenda, it's only going to get worse. And they're right when they say that this is only January and that this has the potential of getting worse. They are feeling the pressure of all of this, and as such, they're going to feel the need to lash out. We've seen it. We've seen the way they've done it. We've seen the way they escalated things during the Summer of Love, such as that one Trump supporter that was shot in Seattle, Washington by Antifa members. We saw the way that they risked property. We saw the way that they went after Kyle Rittenhouse. So this certainly isn't unprecedented. It certainly isn't something we haven't seen before. But the simple truth of the matter is they are going to greater lengths and extents than they had in the past. And it's because they feel the lofty weight of what is upon them. By feeling this and sensing that we are at a turning point in history, they feel that it is absolutely imperative for them to act now with a sense of immediacy. Because if they don't, they also fully recognize and understand that the sands are slipping through their fingers. But with respect to Pool and to other people that are public figures, you do run a greater risk of this sort of thing happening. I know that the Quartering said that it had happened to him. Why are we targeted? Because we are making a difference. We're putting our voice out there. And when you are going against the grain, or you are standing up against their propagandist narrative, they realize that their effect on people is waning. And that's the last thing they want, because again, as I have said on numerous previous episodes, The Right Flyer, they fully recognize that their ideology cannot compete in the free market of ideas. And therefore, they have to use duress. They have to use coercion. They have to use the threat of fear. And what better way to put somebody in fear for their life than to actually attempt to take their life in such a way? They know that this sort of behavior leads to those types of issues. And it really is problematic when the police essentially have their hands tied. There is no way around this. There is no way to make this less dangerous other than to have reform to where there are safety valves put into place. But that's going to take time. And it's going to take diligence on the part of law enforcement and the community. And isn't it funny? This isn't the type of police reform that the left talks about. They always talk about defunding the police instead of talking about how we need to embrace the fundamental tenets of our society that have guided us for generation after successive generation. Of course, they don't want that to be the case because they are dyed-in-the-wool cultural Marxists. We can see this from their own words over there at Black Lives Matter and Antifa. We can see it in the posturing that they hold and the agenda that they have foisted upon the nation at large. And this makes them exceedingly dangerous. If we are ever to find common ground, we are going to have to reject these extremist fringes who are hell-bent on the complete and utter annihilation of the United States of America as a nation and people. We must recognize them for what they are, and we must call them out, and we must refuse to be silenced when they do everything in their power to do so. We can't afford this, and we can't just ignore it. The stakes are far too high, and people's lives are truly at risk. Enough is enough. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you again for choosing to fly the Right Flyer with us. I hope to see you again the next time we fly over the friendly airwaves. Please do take care. See you next time.